Hey there, welcome to the Hot Slice Podcast. This is the podcast brought to you by Pizza Today magazine. I am your host, editor-in-chief Denise Greer, along with me, senior editor Kate Levin. Hello, Kate.
Hello, Denise.
Hi. So, oh my gosh, it's December and we're getting ready to hop into an entirely new year. But before we hop into that new year, we just produced the Pizzeria Trends Report, and our guest is kind of off one of the findings of that report. So, who are we talking to, Kate?
This is true. We are talking to Tony Troiano of J.B. Alberto's in Chicago, Illinois. And he was telling us about the different kinds of pizza he makes. And yes, one of them is featured prominently in this year's Industry Trends Report.
And I'm going to tell you that we love our Chicago Thin. As a Midwesterner, I've got to tell you how much that I love the rise of Chicago Thin around the country. So if you haven't played around with a Chicago Thin, we have a couple of recipes on pizzatoday.com for Chicago Thin if you wanted to try it out and test out a Chicago Thin. Now, I will tell you, Chicago Thin is such a cool style, and it's evolving and changing so much that we had John Gutekunst a couple months ago cover Chicago Thin on the fact that people are actually curing, like not just fermenting the dough, but actually par-baking and curing that crust so that it is a like extra crunchy crispy crust. So the style is definitely evolving. And the nice thing about Tony is he talks about that he was able to win the Great American Pizza Challenge in that division on a crust that they've been doing for 60 years.
I,
So
I think
that's
that was my
exciting.
favorite part was that he won the America's Best Traditional Thin Pizza using a pizza that he serves in his pizzeria. It wasn't, some fancy thing that he made up just for the competition. This is the pizza that his customers get.
Absolutely. And Tony is an icon in the industry. He's been around for a long time and he knows what he's doing. He's a great industry veteran. So let's just hop right in and talk to him.
Are you looking for smarter ways to improve consistency, efficiency, and bake quality in your pizza operation? Spokane Valley, Washington-based Lloyd Pans is the trusted name for commercial pizzerias and home chefs alike. For over 40 years, Lloyd Pans has been creating innovative pizza pans and tools designed to deliver perfect results every time. Whether it's crispy golden pizza crusts or perfectly baked pastries, Lloyd Pan's durable, stick-resistant, and proprietary pan finishes are a game changer. Going beyond pizza, visit lloydpans.com to explore our lineup of food service and bakeware pans and accessories. Need shipping quotes or custom products? Email sales@lloydpans.com for personalized service. Are you looking to get your brand in front of passionate pizza pros? Well, you've come to the right place. The Hot Slice Podcast brought to you by Pizza Today. We're all about everything pizza business. Each week, we dive into fun conversations about trends, tasty tips, and insider stories from the pizza world. Our listeners are engaged and eager to discover what's new and improve their craft, with help from brands like you. Imagine your brand reaching pizzeria owners and pizza enthusiasts while they enjoy our laid-back chats. It's a perfect match. Whether you're selling equipment, ingredients, or anything that makes pizza better, our ad spots are designed to connect you with the right audience. So if you're ready to slice into something special, reach out to us about advertising on the Hot Slice Podcast. Let's share the love of pizza together. Hey Pizza Pros, after a long, exciting day at Pizza Expo, you deserve to kick back with people who just get it. That's where Beer and Bowl comes in, the ultimate networking event where pizza makers, operators, and industry legends come together to talk shop, learn from each other, and have a little fun over a cold one. Whether you're new to the industry or a seasoned pizza veteran, Beer and Bowl is your chance to connect, share ideas, and maybe even spark your next big business move. Grab a drink, pull up a chair, and join the conversation that keeps the pizza world spinning. It's only happening at Pizza Expo on Tuesday, March 24th from 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. Come thirsty, leave inspired.
Oh yeah. Well, you're the big winner. I mean, you won at the Great America's Pizza Challenge. We're excited to have you on.
Yeah, you won for, let's
Well,
see,
yeah.
best traditional thin pizza. Can you tell us about your winning pizza?
Yes, I can. Actually, it's actually a pizza that we make every day in Chicago and have been making for 60 years since the
Yes.
pizzeria's been around. So that's really what made it kind of super special is that it's just our regular thin crust Chicago thin pizza that we make every day. And but along with that is the fact that I was really happy that the Chicago thin pizza finally got some due respect that it's deserved
Same.
and hasn't, and I love all types of pizza, as you guys know.
Yes.
I'm a pizza freak, so I love every style of pizza. But it just never really got the I don't feel like the respect that it needed um, until recently. And I think actually I think Tony Gimignani had a lot to do with that, making Chicago thin kind of cool. Tavern, cracker crust, whatever you want to call it. We'll take all names, but you know, but yeah, but it was really great to win, and like I said, doing what we do every day and serving to our customers every day. So
What is
Oh,
that pizza called on your menu at home?
that was basically I made so we have a house made sausage pizza. So we make the sausage in house too, obviously along with our dough and everything else. But it was just a sausage and thick cut cup and char pepperoni.
no.
And so yeah, basically made our regular pizza that we make all the time. Just finished it a little bit differently, a little garlic oil, a little Asiago finish, and it's a touch of oregano, and not much different than what we do, like I said, every day. So it was cool.
As
That
a
is super cool.
Midwesterner, I'm going to tell you that I am super jazzed that Chicago Thin is getting their due popularity around the US. And and having sausage rise up on the top is also like great because like a lot of people don't realize how popular sausage is on pizza comparably. Everyone wants to give pepperoni its due, which it is the number one, but right there, second is sausage. Like, and I love it.
We're about like dead even. Our
Yeah.
sausage, because it's hand pinched, and that's obviously a
Hmm.
real Chicago thing. It has been for years, but now I'm really happy that the entire country is seeing that and realizing that hand pinching it on there and getting that little extra grease that comes out of the sausage, when
Yeah.
it's cooking, adds to the flavor, and it's yeah, it's great. I love sausage, so you don't have to convince me on that either, Denise.
Yeah. So wait, so here's the thing is I know a lot of people that are afraid to use raw hand pinched sausage. So what do you have to say? Because I mean, you're dealing with, a thin crust pizza, about the making sure that it's cooked. What kind of advice do you have for others on using that type of a product and just making sure it's cooked thoroughly?
Well, that's a great question. Really I think everyone should hand pinch their sausage on it. I just think the flavor difference is it's just so much better.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, the size wise, you don't want to go too big. You want to go a
Hmm.
little bigger than dime size, maybe a nickel size sometimes. That's about as big of a pinch as you want. But that will fully cook completely, and like our bake is around 12 minutes, 13 minutes, depending on how busy we are.
Hmm.
Those bake times can go up or down
Yeah.
slightly, but in that time frame, it will thoroughly cook that sausage as long as the size of the piece, as you're hand pinching them down there, the size is correct.
Yeah.
Again, you don't want big, you don't want it to look like a meatball on there, but you just want a nice size where it's gonna be a nice bite in the mouth too, because you get the certain chew off of a hand pinched sausage that you don't get off of a pre-cooked.
Yeah, exactly. I love the hand pinched, and I do it on when I cook pizza, but I'm always like, oh, am I doing it right? Am I getting them cooked
Well,
properly? But I haven't made myself sick yet, so there you go.
yeah, and a lot do it on top of the cheese too. We've always done it underneath, as
Hmm.
long as your ingredients are proportioned properly and you don't like overkill the cheese or the sausage or anything. Everything the cooking world needs balance, obviously. But yeah, you could put it on top too. People that are worried a little bit and said, hey, I want to make sure that I get it's fully cooked. Put it on top. That makes people feel better. No worries there.
So dealing with your, like, because if people on the podcast may not know this, but you have one of the highest volume, like just output. You guys are just ramming pies out the door there in Chicago. And with hand pinching, how are you able to work that into, because you have such an efficient operating system there, like getting pies out the door. So how are you able to work that in with the hand pinching?
Well, I tell you, I got an amazing team. I really, really have an amazing team. All the credit goes to them. You got to train your employees the right way, obviously, but then they take the bull by the horns from there. And honestly, without a great team, you can't do it. You can't have, like, when we're really busy and we got just a lineup of pizza makers on all the make tables, you can't have a weak link. So
Yeah.
when we're starting our training, obviously, I'm not going to throw them in on a Friday or a Saturday night. It'll be a slow Monday, and then get them used to, him or her used to, making pizzas there, and then feeling comfortable to the point where, okay, now it's Thursday or Friday night, and they'll work their way up to that point. But again, you can't have a weak link in there when you're doing the kind of volume, because it's got to, like, everything has to flow smoothly. And if not, you make adjustments along the way if you have to.
Absolutely. I love that.
So when this episode comes out, it's going to be December. Our pizza industry trends report will be out. And we learned that Chicago thin is now the third most popular pizza style. Have you noticed? Yeah. Have you noticed it growing in popularity in recent years?
I have, like I said, more and more so on a national level, like even internationally. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I probably wouldn't have competed with this particular pizza 5 years ago, because it probably wouldn't. But now that it's garnered the respect that I think it deserves, and people are realizing that a nice thin, crispy pizza, not overloaded with ingredients, but a nice balance is really tasty. And again, I love New York, I love Detroit, I love all styles, but
Sam.
I'm just glad that it's another pizza that's been embraced, and that's great to hear, Kate. I did not know that. That's kind of cool. The
really
trend is
fun.
there. Nice. We've seen it. Yeah, we've always been busy. But there's more. There's like kind of a nouveau style of cracker thin that's kind of coming into the market, even in the Chicago area. So there's like, how can I explain? There's like the old school Chicago thin. Then there's the real nouveau, where they par bake it, or they, ferment it in cold fermentation for 2, 3, 4 days, whatever the case is. And honestly, we're like in the middle of those two. If I had to say, where's J.B.'s? We're not that real old school. Some were making them too thick, way thicker than I prefer. Weren't paying a proper attention, because you still have to ferment your dough properly for flavors and stuff like that. People think, just because it doesn't have the cell structure of a New York or another style of pizza, you don't have to do that, but you still do, because it assists in the flavors. So, but yeah, so we're kind of in the middle between the real nouveau stuff and like the real old school. There's kind of like a happy balance, because we've tweaked and changed through the years to kind of do what I feel tastes best. But we didn't veer off terribly far from the past.
So
is this? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Is this the style of pizza that you grew up eating?
Yes. So in Chicago, this is like, I know everyone thinks that we're known for our pan pizzas and our stuffed pizzas and all that, but really, like 95% of the people in Chicago would say they're eating a thin crust pizza when it's game day, when it's family get-togethers, a party, anything like that. It's Chicago thin, but it's, do I eat a stuffed pizza? Yeah, I love our stuffed pizza. Is really good, but it's like, a couple times a year, we'll do that, or like they say when the tourists come in town, that kind of stuff. But but thin is where, like in Chicago, and I would say the Midwest in general, Denisha, you could vouch for that. Really, we eat thin crust pizza, an occasional pan or stuffed. Our pan does quite well too, but 90% of our sales on the pizza side are all Chicago thin.
Now, the one thing I'll ask you is because I know that there's some differences between especially tavern and certain Chicago thins on whether you use yeast or not. Or whether, because I've heard stories about other people using like baking soda and things like that on their bakes and not doing a lot of fermentation. You know, where do you stand on what you do with your dough?
Yeah, we use cake yeast, fresh yeast,
Mhm.
always have. Um, Baking soda, I've never really used it in our doughs.
Mhm.
So that's personally, I'm not anti, but I haven't used it in our doughs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it still needs like, so we're like a 48-hour ferment. But here's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
If it goes 72, or you had a little bit of a slow stretch, or you over prepared, and it's
Mhm.
4-day-old dough, you're fine.
Yeah.
It's gonna brown up beautifully. There's a few differences. Like if you want to compare like how a Chicago thin's made differently from a New York, you know, we had half and half cream in ours, so it's a little bit richer of a
Oh,
dough.
wow.
The
Huh.
fat content is a little bit higher
Mhm.
than you would on most. But even the yeast, you're still close to a 0.5%, maybe a tad under, because you don't need a ton. You don't need a ton of yeast because
Yeah.
you're not blowing it up. But still, when it hits an oven, when dough hits a hot oven, you're still going to get a little bit of that rise in the oven.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Oh, I
but
love
not
it.
ton.
So what are
Yeah.
the different pizza styles that you offer?
So we offer obviously our Chicago thin, which is the most popular. We have a pan pizza, which is I'd call it kind of along the line of like a 70s pan pizza in Chicago. It's got a
Mhm.
thicker crust. It's denser.
Yeah.
It really is a delicious pizza. Um,
Mhm.
but it's different than like it's not like a Detroit where it's a little more lighter and airier, or it's not a grandma because it's not thin like that. So, but it's really great. It's always made round.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
we
the
just do
old
three
school
sizes in
Pizza
that.
Huts. Is it like the old
Old
school Pizza Hut? You remember the old school
Kinda,
Pizza
it's got a
Huts?
nice. I wish I had a nice picture I could show you, but it's got a nice
Yeah.
cornichona on it. So
Yeah.
it's got a nice big round cornichona. Now we sell a lot of slices like that at the counter
Mhm.
and as walk-ins. And I think possibly because it is a great tasting pizza. It really is as far as a pan goes. But I think it's a little more filling. So if someone says,
Mhm.
hey, a little more bang for my buck out of $5 or whatever, because it's still reasonably priced, get a slice and a
Mhm.
soda, you walk out spending less than $6, and you know, that could be dinner for you. You're good. So, and then our third style of pizza is a stuffed pizza.
Yes.
And we also
Absolutely.
have kind of a secret pizza, which is called the double decker, which is
Ooh.
only online. So we don't advertise that, but it's basically thin crust pizza, and we make the same pizza twice. So it's not like a stuffed pizza that I told you about earlier, which is more like, I don't know. I guess the simplest way to compare is like if an apple pie, if you got a
Yeah.
pan, you got a 2-inch deep pan, you put your crust all the way in the bottom, the crust overlaps, you fill it with an enormous amount of cheese and what other toppings you want. So it's really a dense, heavy pizza. Again, that's another one of those one slicers and you're done. Paper
Mhm.
thin crust on top, so you go super thin on the top, cut a few little holes out there so it breathes, and then you just trim the edge and sauce it. And that's got like a 35-minute bake. That's really a Chicago thing. That was kind
Yeah.
of made popular in Chicago.
What
That's
made
so
you want
fun.
to do it as a secret menu item? Like, how did it become a secret menu item?
Well, so we had it. So man, if we really dialed back, so Alberto's has been around since '65.
Oh
JB's
yeah.
came along a little bit later, and then we combined them. I think we talked about that story a while ago, but that's how that all came about. And that was a JB's thing. So when we put it on the menu, we did put it on, and then I was like, let's just, let's make this kind of once we went online, it was on the menu. Once we went
Hmm.
online, I took it off the paper menus and then
Yeah.
just left it there and said it's like kind of like if you know type of thing.
I love it.
And that's kind of how it just evolved, and that's how people like And it makes it kind of fun because then people are like, oh, do you know about their double decker? No, I don't know. I never saw it. I never saw it on their menu. When I called, I
Yeah.
never asked for it. And then they're always like, oh, well, if you,
It's like the
go
cool
online or if
kids
you know
club.
about it, they'll make it for you. So
I love that.
kind of cool. And so the people that really know, they're like, oh, I ordered the double decker with this because I know. So just makes it fun, I guess.
That's so fun. People love exclusivity of a secret
Yeah.
menu.
Yeah, I do love that.
Yeah. And everybody wants to feel a little special too, like, so.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
automatically
Yeah.
the first thing I want when I come see you, for sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm
I hope
curious
you're coming
about your
out.
I'm curious about your
Anything.
slice business. Has it changed? Has it because I can think about, that, demographics change and who's coming around and the walkability changes. Has your slice business changed at all over the last couple of years?
Yeah, so when we started it out, oh my God, I have to really dial back here. I was very young then, but we started selling slices. I just thought, hey, this is one more way. There wasn't a
Hmm.
lot, unlike New York,
Yeah.
or a lot of parts on the places in the East Coast, I should say, that sell sliced pizzas. That's kind of like the norm. We sold a
Hmm.
lot of whole pizzas, a
Yeah,
lot of them. And then I'm like,
exactly.
but we were in an area where it's very densely populated. There's a lot of single people, a lot of people living in one bedrooms or studio apartments. They don't always want a whole pizza and they
Hmm.
want something super affordable and quick. So we started the slices and started out kind of slow until people started, learning about it. And
Yeah.
it's a major part of the business now. People just walking
Wow.
in, grabbing a slice or two. Anybody, people that are driving Uber, just come in, grab a slice, go, and people on the way home from work. We're half a block off an L station, a train. So,
Hmm.
people just grab it, can't ask for a more, inexpensive and delicious grab and go. And we're all busy, there's times like I don't necessarily want to sit around and wait for a pizza or, I'm just going to be eating alone tonight. So let me just grab a slice and, put
Hmm.
on my favorite Netflix or whatever you want to watch
Yeah.
and enjoy it, So, yeah. So yeah, it's been good, though. It's really exploded. So we do thin and we do pan, and I'd say it's probably about 60-40 thin to pan there. So that
Hmm.
tells you that the people want to kind of fill up a little more, get one slice and done,
Yeah,
you know, or they'll buy
for
two thins,
sure.
whatever,
That's super
whatever works.
interesting.
Yeah.
Denise and I have been talking about setting up a good program for people who are, coming in and leaving immediately versus those who are going to stick around. How do you kind of separate the two crowds that are coming into your restaurant?
Well, that's a good question. We're pretty much geared for speed. I mean, because really, I
Mhm.
mean, we got a nice pizzeria. We make great pizza, but the last thing you really want to do is like hang around. We're just carry out and delivery. I should
Mhm.
say that too.
Yeah.
Again, not like a sit down restaurant where people can let me go have a beer or a cocktail or something. So people really want to like get in and get out fast. So we're geared for speed. And my staff up there knows, again, kind of like the training on the line, we train them the same way up there. We'll start feathering them in on a Monday night or something, a slower night until they can pick up the speed where they won't slow things down. And if not, if it gets really busy, there's always people to backfill the spots and just call out, and, who's next? What do you need? What do you need? And then we'll start packing the slices, getting them all ready. This young lady has a thin sausage and a soda. That man has a pan slice and a whatever, and then somebody else will just be ringing them up. So we try to stay ahead of the game when there's a line out the door. Because again, last thing you want to do is wait in the hang out in the carry out area of a
Yeah.
carry out delivery pizzeria.
Yeah,
As
you know, it's
fun as
like
it sounds, people want to get their food and go home.
exactly. Exactly. I
Yeah.
with your speed and efficiency, is it hard to find employees that want to work in that environment when you're on, it's go time. It's like, because I can think of when I worked in restaurants, I actually preferred to work those nights because your time at work went by so fast. Like I preferred it.
I think you nailed it there, Denise. Honestly, like if you're going to spend, like let's say a typical shift, which is 7 hours, you know,
Mhm.
if it's slow, and what are you going to do? Like, stare at your phone, or you can only have so much to say to your coworkers. But when you're
Yeah.
moving and shaking, I mean, you're moving, and especially at the counter, like
Mhm.
they're tip motivated too. So there's always a tip jar, so they make a few bucks more working up there. So they're very happy to do that too. So
Since this is going into, December, and as we look at 2026, I'm curious, because you've been in this game a long time, and so you can kind of see what's happening in the industry and what's happening as we move forward. Do you have any kind of predictions for what you think you're going to see in 2026 as far as your business, or even in just in the pizza business in general?
well, you know what? As time goes on, I think I've always continued to evolve with the times. Like,
Hmm.
when apps it just came available, I was the first independent to get an app because I wanted to stay ahead of the curve and do all that kind of stuff. Um, I see AI starting to come into the business, and it's kind of cool, but I still think that the personal touch that we have in the pizza business is so
Hmm.
valuable. Here, like the other day, I was making a reservation for a restaurant to go out to dinner,
Yeah.
and it was completely AI automated. And like
Uh-oh.
there was like 4 or 5 times I had to like repeat the same thing, and I'm just like, please just let me talk to somebody. This will take like a second, and just like a friendly voice instead of that, automated voice. Like I know there's great programs out there for
Hmm.
um like the AI ordering systems and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And as tempting as that sounds to say, hey, I can cut my labor and do that, there's nothing like a friendly voice on the other end saying,
Yeah.
hey, Kate, you want that regular? You want that pizza that you usually get every Friday night? Or,
Yeah.
Denise, we'll see you in a little bit in 20 minutes for that pickup, or whatever the case is. That just feels so good
Yeah.
to me as a consumer, as opposed to, yes, did you want that as a pickup or deliver some, electronic voice talking to me? And it's just like, I don't know. So as far as those things go, I like the trends, but and there's like even like the robotics and stuff. That stuff is so far from being ready for the real pizza world, I
Yeah.
think. So um keep doing what we're doing, and really just kind of, I love new trends, and I'm always watching new things, but at the
Yeah.
same time, sometimes what's worked forever is good, as long as you keep an
Hmm.
open mind to, you know, good, things that can change in the future. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
we're plugging along, keeping customers happy. That's our goal. Keeping my staff and my customers happy. That's the
Yeah.
key, you
For
know.
sure. Absolutely.
That seems like a great place to end. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, guys. Thanks for asking me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys soon. Columbus was great, man. Really enjoyed Columbus.
I thought Columbus went really well too. It was really fun, and we'll see you in Vegas. I mean,
Yes.
it's coming up right around the
Definitely see
corner.
you in Vegas for sure. Yeah,
Absolutely.
sooner than we think. Yeah. You guys have a
Well,
great holiday,
have a
okay?
great
You
holiday,
too.
okay? Okay, take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.